Well, good morning, and it is a good morning. I'm sure you're wondering why I'm out in the log yard so early on a Monday morning. I got in before 6 a.m. Well, exciting times. We're going to be salvaging a log up in the big city today. We're headed to Minneapolis to get a log. The other question I'm sure you've asked, or I get asked a lot, is where do you get all these logs? And there's a lot of logs here. The cool thing about all of the logs that I bring in here, these are salvaged logs. So these are logs that for some reason needed to be cut down. I shouldn't say logs, trees that needed to be cut down, whether it was development, whether it was storm, whether it was just in the way, whether there was some disease. We watch that carefully. But trees that needed to come down and they needed to go somewhere. The best thing to do with a tree, especially if it's a great variety, is to give it another life, to give it a second life, to give it another purpose in being, and that is to get milled, to turn into furniture, to turn into shelving, to turn into building material, all kinds of amazing things. So earlier this year, Ed up in Minneapolis, a friend through a friend who had followed me on Instagram, saw that I did urban log salvage, reached out, has a big white oak that's coming down. The tree service, I believe, is on their way. We'll talk a little bit more about tree salvage throughout this video, and let's get going. I know I need to get some diesel on the truck, so let's roll. As we get going, it is a day of unstable weather, so a little bit of scattered showers as we hit the road and head to the station to get some diesel. All right, as we're driving, the first thing we should talk about is the difference between tree removal and tree salvage, log salvage. The tree removal is the company that you would hire to come in and safely take the tree down. They're going to limb it, they're going to branch it, they're going to just chop it down most efficiently, load it up in as large a pieces, and take it away. Most likely to a tub grinder to make mulch, or to be biomass to be used as heating. Salvage is actually taking the logs and giving them a higher purpose, milling them to make timber, to make lumber for later use. Challenging to see up there, but we made it up to the tree removal here in Minneapolis. Rainbow Tree Care, one of the best in town, have this pretty nifty little rig up there. It telescopes out 120 feet, so they're able to go up on top, start limbing it out, and start bringing the pieces down. Time for the big truck. Ed and Daniel over there. Beautiful. So a question that gets asked a lot is, will you take a tree down and you can have the wood for free? The reality of the situation, the salvaged value of the raw material, the trunks and the limbs and the branches that are taken off site in the salvage, will not offset the cost of safely removing the tree, especially in an urban setting like this where they're bringing in machinery to do the limbing. And if they didn't have that, there would be ropes and cranes. The trunks and the limbs in its raw form as raw material do not have the value. It is the time invested by the artist, the sawyer, the miller, the dryer that creates the value in the logs that are salvaged. As we watch this magnificent machine kind of dissect this tree and bring it down limb by limb, this is where, as a salvager, I always struggle because there's competing interests. I don't know if that's the right term to use. If it was up to me, I would save every single twig and branch and find a neat use for it, but that's just not realistic. When the company that's doing the removal, they're doing it in a fashion that's going to be the most efficient and the fastest for them to take it down, because that machine only gets paid when it's taking pieces down. It has limitations, how much it can hold, how much it can lift, and that will reflect on the client, the homeowner, how much they're willing to pay to have the tree removed and then save wood for a salvager to take it. So there's a fine balance with how that's all going there. And a lot of people that salvage trees will only want that big, huge trunk at the bottom. I'm a little different. I like all those branches. I like all those funky pieces. Like this piece they're taking off right now. I can't wait to cut that up because it's just going to be ridiculously cool. Don't know what I'll make out of it, but it will be cool. Look at all those branches and crotches and things that are going to happen. Anyways, it's the homeowner, the client, that's really going to dictate how it comes down and when it comes down, and that works into the contract with the tree removal company, and then you work with all three of them, and it's a little bit of a dance to make it all happen. All right, we are back on site. All right, one of those things when you start salvaging log, communication. I'm not going to say there was a miscommunication. I had clarified that they would set it on the truck and trailer, so I didn't bring a skid, but it turns out that the clam operator had no business. He wasn't going to do that. That wasn't going to happen today. So it worked out. Ran back all the way to the shop. Yes, all that way back. Picked up the little skid loader to get that. And here we are. As perfect Minnesota, we're going to get a little bit of rain to settle the dust. But some beautiful logs here. Saved a handful of the little pieces. And then just some really interesting pieces that we will end up with here. And yes, a couple really nice, longer, big logs there. But we're going to have to do a little bit of cutting to get it ready to load. But that's what we're going to do. We're going to get this bad boy loaded up and then get it back to the log yard.
impressed with how it came down. It's amazing.
Say hi to Ed.
Hi, everyone.
And that's Daniel. He's the lead who kind of set this all up and connected everyone. It's interesting how this happens. But there it is, the remains of the stump. I always say we're going to count the rings, but we usually never do. It was old. It had seen a lot of history.
Yeah, almost 100 years, I'm guessing, easily.
Easy 100. And there it is, a salvaged urban log or urban log salvage, something like that. So this is going to make it back to the log yard, and we'll pile it up somewhere, and at some point we'll get to milling it.
Cool.
But thank you.
Very cool. You're welcome. I'm so glad you can use it, and it's a fabulous resource. I love it like that more than like sawdust, like they were going to do.
Yes. Well, Ed summed it up perfectly there. Just, it's better than sawdust or mulch or being burned for biomass. And that's where this whole urban log salvage really starts. It starts with a homeowner. It starts with someone that appreciates what's there. A log that really is well over 100 years old. It has history, and it will be absolutely beautiful when it is milled and turned into lumber and maybe furniture and who knows what. And that's the important part. So kudos to Ed. If you happen to have a big tree in your yard, or you know someone that has a big tree, a storm took it down, disease got it, it just needed to be removed, find someone to salvage it, find someone to do it. Look at that other ash log right there. That was salvaged, that was headed for a fire pit. That's gonna make some beautiful furniture in the future. Thanks so much. Reach out if you have one of those trees, and I'd love to salvage it and save it and make something absolutely beautiful out of it and keep that history going. All right, well, there's Ed and his tree, and all that remains is the stump. Thank you so much, Ed. And follow along, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell so you're notified the next time we upload a video of us salvaging a tree or milling something down in the log yard, or a landscaper know-how. We do a lot of fun things here at the workshop at the garden. Thanks again. Look forward to hearing from you. Enjoy.